I'm on my own again today, guys. It's just me. Hey, what's up? Good morning, YouTube. Ron Placone here. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. And I have got to, I got to monitor the chat on my own again today. Pasta is not here, so it's just me doing me. You know. All right, so here I am. What's up, Austin? What's up, Panderson? What's up, Bear? Going on two different things here as folks start to meander on in. Walking statue, old regret. We got 22 over on the live me. We only got 11 over on the YouTube. So live me, you're winning this morning. And you know how it goes. Whichever one gets the 31st is when the show officially begins. It looks like Live Me's winning out today. It's got 16 over on the YouTube. And somebody sent something to me last night. Oh, and the article's not coming up. That is a bummer. I found it again, though. Sweet. What's up, Colin? How are you, my man? Do you like DIY? Of course I do. Absolutely. You can't see me. I'm pretty sure you guys can see me. What's up, Long Beach? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you again. Hit the like, hit the joint, tell a friend. I like Steven's advice. Garbage patch in the Pacific is now bigger than Alaska. Sheesh. Oh, guys, we are past 30 over on the live me. That means the show has officially begun. You know what that means. Get your news on with Ron. I just want to know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. I just want to know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your news on with Ron. I just want to know what's going on. Getting our news on today. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. We got 28 over on the YouTube. We got 35 over on the live me. Good to see everybody. Good morning. How you doing? Hey, howdy, howdy, howdy. That's my thing, huh? Right? What up? Happy holidays. I think that's a spammy post. It's not. It's not a holiday. Colin, when do you ship out the T-shirt? Colin is referring to the Patreon. I'm gonna ship them out soon, Colin. I got to go to Austin this weekend, and then I'm moving, so it'll probably be either right before that or right after that. I wish I could do it. I wish I could guarantee I'm going to do it beforehand, because it would really make my life a little easier if I had some shirts off my hands, like, and they were shipped out, so I didn't have to move them. But I might not. I might not have time to do that. But they are coming. Yeah, and I'll be getting in touch with everybody. And you can join the Patreon at patreon.com/Ron Placone. Is Lucy packing her stuff too? Indeed, she is. Lucy's coming along, of course. All right, let me log into the Reddit here, and we will get our news on. And guys, I know we've been starting with a question, and somebody sent this to me last night and asked that I cover this on Get Your News On with Ron. So I'm going to just tweet the article by itself, because I lost that tweet on the timeline, but I saved the article. So I'm just going to tweet it, and I'm just going to give it a Get Your News On with Ron retweet, or just a Get Your News On with Ron tweet, excuse me. And that's how we'll start today. And that will lead us into the question. So here we go. This is how we're going to start. This is from the outlet In These Times. And here's an article that came out yesterday. I just tweeted this, by the way. What's up, Marcus? Good to see you, buddy. Oh, and by the way, real quick, I am on my own again today. It's just me, and so monitoring both chats again. Pasta has another work-related thing, so I am moderating both chats again on my own. So please bear with me. I'm gonna miss some stuff. I'm not gonna be able to get to everything, and I'm doing the best I can. It's actually kind of fun, but yeah, I'm monitoring both chats. So I will get to as much as I can, the best that I can. But please understand, I'm monitoring both chats, and I'm also reading articles and monitoring the tweets. So that's a lot of different stuff all going on at once. But please do tweet me articles. Don't be shy. But here is how we're going to start today. And here is the question that we're going to lead into. So I just tweeted an article from In These Times. Keith Ellison, the time has come for Medicare for All and a maximum wage. So this is by, the author here is Sarah Jaffe. And I wonder if she's related to Stephen Jaffe, by the way. I'm not sure. And it says, welcome to Interviews for the Resistance. We're now into the second year of the Trump administration. Last year has been filled with ups and downs, important victories, successful holding campaigns, and painful defeats. So this is an interview with Keith Ellison. So here's Sarah's first question. I just want to start with Medicare for All. What's going on in the House? Keith Ellison says, I just switched in for John Connors. What we're going to do, we're starting a Medicare for All task force, a single payer task force, and Primera Japel and I are going to help lead that effort. Debbie Dingell is there, Ro Khanna is there, Barbara Lee is there. We've got a team, and we're really going to push. We've got a plan to move out on all fronts and have our members do a tour, have meetings in their district on single payer. We're working with Bernie. But we believe that this is the issue and that the time for this issue has come. So there's energy within and without the Democratic Party pushing in this direction. You were just saying you've been in Congress for 10 years. Does it feel like there's a momentum shift, and when did this start? It started when people like Paul Wellstone were raising it, and people were like, what's that? What is single payer? We don't know what you're talking about. And all we're doing is building up momentum. All right. So we're talking about market power. This is the next question from Sarah. We're talking about market power. You made a joke about a maximum wage. No, Keith Ellison says. This is interesting. All right. I didn't make a joke about maximum wage. I made a statement about maximum wage. What I'm saying is, if you were to say, look, if you make more than 20 times more than the people who actually make the products and do the service of your company, then we're going to tax you. Then we're going to tax you more. We're going to tax you at all. We're going to tax you at all. All right, that sentence doesn't make any sense, but that is the sentence. We're going to tax you at all. Okay. That would be a good start, Sarah points out. You're going to be ineligible for certain programs, or we could even do something like say, look, if you want to pay yourself more than 20 times your average worker, which, by the way, that's not what they do. They pay over 300 times the average worker. We did a report on this show. We covered a report on this show, rather, where Del Monte, the CEO makes 1,600 times what the worker makes. So it's way more than 20 times. 20 times is that would be a utopia compared to what we have. The average, at least as of, I believe, a couple years ago, was 475 times the average worker. The average CEO made 475 times what the average worker makes. So 20 times is, I mean, that's a joke. That's like, look, if you want to pay yourself 20 times, I mean, I doubt you would find any CEO in the United States that isn't way more than that. So nice sentiment, but, let's be real. Look, if you pay yourself more than 20 times the average worker, that's fine. No, it's not fine. I'll make a differentiation there, Keith. It's not fine. But, okay, we'll let that slide. But if you give the workers an increase as you get them, then maybe we'll think about that in terms of some sort of policy benefit. But this idea that you can leave people in poverty as you are stacking up dead presidents like nobody's business has got to come to an end. I mean, the CEO of McDonald's makes almost $4,000 an hour, and they're fighting people getting $15 an hour. But they turn their label, Sarah points out, but they turn their logo to a upside down to be a W. So my point is that these people are screwing over workers. They're screwing over the environment. They're clear cutting forests so they can graze over more cattle. And we all know that beef production is extremely abusive on the environment. They're bad actors, you know. I wasn't joking about having a maximum wage. Why shouldn't there be a maximum wage? I remember when Ford, GM, and Chrysler came for $80 billion to rescue the American auto industry. Okay, well, how much does the guy who runs Toyota make? Oh, he makes a few million a year. How much do you make? $28 million a year. Okay, stop right there. I'm going to tell you what the problem is right there. Your interests and the interests of your company are not aligned. All right, so Keith Ellison is, you know, giving a little bit of roundabout lip service to the idea of a maximum wage. He's calling for closing the gap between the CEOs of the workers. He's giving, you know, he's saying that there's a task force for single payer going on. This is an interesting interview. And Keith Ellison is somebody that has said some stuff that I really liked and then done some stuff that I really didn't like. You know, as far as the way he handled the whole DNC thing, and when people wanted him to be the chair because they actually wanted somebody that, you know, represented the interests of the constituents, he told those people to buck up. It was their fault. So I guess that brings me to today's question. And I hope we're a little more reasonable on him than we are on Cory Booker. At least I know I personally am. I mean, maybe some of you aren't. So here's my question. Can we trust Keith Ellison? Does Keith Ellison mean what he says about a maximum wage? So Joseph says, Keith Ellison is kind of like Elizabeth Warren. When they are right, they are really right. When they are playing politics and stuff, they are incredibly unreliable and wrong. So a big hit push. All right. Neo-libs is why we can't have a nice thing. Keith is just another neoliberal, Frederick says. Bantot says nope. Panderson says no. Linda says no. Frosty Bucket says no to Keith. Amar says no way, Jose. Mana laughs at this. Marcia says nope. Frosty says Keith Ellison is a political capitalist. Forever Voting Third Party says Keith is moldable. Don't know why we should trust him. Have an opinion on that. I mean, that's what we're talking about. Okay. It doesn't matter if he means what he says. Keith is on the leash. When push comes to shove, he bends. We've seen this. That's true. James Michael Sarvis, platitudes. Shadrach Man, trust not. Eric trusts him. There we go. We got somebody. Eric trusts him. You know, CG points out that Keith took $173,000 from the health industry last election. Now that is something. Absolutely. If the Dems were all progressives, Keith would be a progressive. I mean, I think you can say that about anyone, though. Keith Ellison is still one of the better ones in Congress, unfortunately, but far from ideal and not nearly as strong as we would like him to be. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. So Eric, why do you trust him? We got one person that thinks Keith Ellison is going to do the right thing, and Forever Voting Third Party wants to know why you think Keith Ellison, that there's some meat, if you will, to what Keith Ellison says. Eric says he does have a history of progressivism. Jilly points out Keith enables Perez. Now, I'm not necessarily trying to say we definitely should trust Keith Ellison, but I don't think it's fair to put all that on Keith Ellison. You know what I mean? I mean, the whole DNC thing, you can't just put that on Keith Ellison. Not that I was disappointed, but you can't just throw all that on him. He backed Bernie, Eric points out. he did back Bernie, then he caved. DC just points out if they take corporate money, you can't trust them. That's where I'm at too. Didn't Keith vote bad on something important? I'm willing to let him earn my trust, but he doesn't get it automatically. Show me. That's kind of where I'm at too. Because my thing with them is, all right, well, let's see what this task force is all about. You say you have a single payer task force. Let's see what what it does. Go for him if you want, Ron. That's your choice. I'm not going for or not going for anybody. I mean, he's not going to come up for me to vote for anytime soon in a certain capacity, presumably. So there's nothing about me to go for or not go for. Sure we can. He's already proved quite... All right. He has earned my distrust. Buck up. Someone brings up the buck up thing. Yeah, and that was annoying. If Nancy Pelosi is on the task force, Keith Ellison has lost me forever. Yeah, well, she's vocally against single payer. At least I'll give him this. Keith has shown us, he has clearly demonstrated he is on the leash. There's really no more to discuss, in my opinion. It disqualifies him. Emma Vigeland stated that her litmus for all future candidates is to get money out of politics and overturn Citizens United. That's, yeah, I'm totally with that. Just overturning Citizens United doesn't get money out of politics. So that and's important there. It should be overturn Citizens United and get money out of politics. It would kind of happen that way. Because Citizens United would at least take us back to where we were in the early aughts. And then hopefully we could go further from there. But probably a wet blanket, but you can't say for certain. And apparently Keith's for a no-fly zone somewhere. Where is he in Citizens United, Kate asks. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Keith has gone out of his way to prove to the donors that he's got what it takes to shut down progressives when the stakes are high. I guess we'll see. I mean, he did this interview with In These Times, and, this is a labor-oriented outlet. So, yeah, I think he knew who he was doing the interview with, and he very much catered it to them accordingly. Is it cool that he mentioned a maximum wage? Absolutely. But, that's something you would want to say to an outlet like that. Would he say that on MSNBC? Would he say that on CNN? Would he say that on the campaign trail? Would he actually enact a bill for that? Sean points out Warren, which thank you for the super chat contribution, Sean. Warren is supporting Cordray. Oh, dude. Warren is supporting Cordray, who's gotten support of the NRA in the past over Kucinich. Thank you for tweeting me an article about it, Sean, and we will go there next. So, oh, that sucks. Are you kidding me? Like... So I guess in closing, we'll see. Keith Ellison, you don't have us fooled just because you said some nice things to a labor outlet. You knew who you were talking to. But I'm willing to see what this single payer task force does, if anything. I'm willing to keep an eye on it. And we'll see. But as far as has Keith Ellison totally won me over? No, because like you guys pointed out, actions speak louder than words. So we'll see. Let's move on to Elizabeth Warren. And Sean, you tweeted me an hour-long video. We we don't have time to watch that. If you have something else that you can tweet me, like an article or something like that, that would be a little more desirable. But let's see here. So here's something from the New York Times. Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren are eyeing Ohio in 2018. So Democratic leaders have settled on Richard A. Cordray, the former director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, as their favored candidate for governor. Mr. Cordray, a former state attorney general who played a high-profile watchdog role in Washington, has drawn forceful support in the Democratic primary from unions like the Ohio Federation of Teachers and the Ohio AFL-CIO. I wonder if it was anything like Hillary Clinton, where she got the backing from the teachers and the actual teachers themselves weren't consulted. Do you guys remember when that happened? When Hillary Clinton got the backing of the teachers unions, but the teachers themselves were not even consulted on it. So Joe Biden, I would expect Joe Biden to back the corporatist. I would expect that from Joe Biden. Joe Biden is hopefully done. I mean, as far as like the White House goes. So I mean, look at this. Joe Biden really wanted some press. So instead of supporting something that might help people, like, single payer, like ending the wars, like speaking out against the military budget, like speaking for living wages, what did Joe Biden do? He said he wanted to box Trump. That was what he did. That was what, instead of actually doing something, standing up for something, he was like, I would fight Trump if we were in high school, blah, 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 ha, ha. That's your resistance. And people want that guy to be president. There are people out there that want him to run for president. Are you kidding me? So, yeah, I would expect him to back Cordray over Kucinich. But Elizabeth Warren is supposed to be one of the better progressives out there. Well, she clearly isn't here. She clearly isn't here. Supposed to be are the key words there, Joe points out. Oh. Well, that's incredibly disappointing that the Democratic Party once again is working against Dennis Kucinich. They did the same thing in 2008. They actively worked against him in 2008. He was who I supported in the presidential primary. They got him off of that debate stage as soon as they could because he was actually an anti-war option. That's why. There were two anti-war candidates. One was Dennis Kucinich. The other was Ron Paul. Policy-wise, I'm a much bigger fan of Kucinich. But that was one thing that those two had in common. And they were forced off the debate stage as quickly as possible. And now the Democratic establishment is actively working against Dennis Kucinich once again. And Elizabeth Warren is somebody that I really want to like her. I really want to like her. I really want her to be on our side. but I don't think so. So yeah, that's too bad. Keith Ellison and Elizabeth Warren. All right, let's move on. So this is interesting. Joe sends this one in. National hero. So this is from Slate. National hero Marco Rubio introduces bill to make daylight saving time year-round. What a hero. Yeah, Marco Rubio is a hero that's scared to have a town hall because he doesn't want to talk to people. Marco Rubio, but he wants to make daylight saving time year-round. So I guess he wants to forever voting third party. Maybe Marco Rubio can help you. Last Sunday, the clock sprang forward for daylight saving time, shifting an hour of morning daylight to the late afternoon, a ritual that began as a way to save energy during World War I. Like many people, Marco Rubio wonders why we couldn't adopt this shift year-round so that, for example, it would no longer get dark outside my window in Brooklyn in December at 4:30 in the damn afternoon. Marco Rubio announced Wednesday that he's filed legislation to allow not just Florida, but the entire nation to save daylight all year round. The Florida Republican says he's sponsoring the Sunshine Protection Act. Good for, yeah, it's cool. Joe says he's actually with Marco Rubio on this one. So is forever voting third party. The first bill would make daylight saving time permanent across the country. Currently, it runs from March to November, forcing most Americans to set their clocks ahead 1 hour in the spring and then turn back. You know what? I'll be honest with you guys. I lived in Indiana, and at the time that I think Indiana has since changed. If anyone here lives in Indiana, maybe you can help me on that. I think Indiana has since changed. But when I was in Indiana, they didn't do daylight savings either, and I liked it way better. It was way freaking better. Garden Gnome says that they live in Arizona. They don't have daylight savings there, and it's much better. Joseph says, I'm so jealous of you right now. Joseph, I think you're better off in California. No offense, Garden Gnome, but I love visiting Arizona, but I'm much happier living in California. Natural Progressive, I am for it. For the first time, I agree with Rubio. I can't help but laugh. Part of the state of Indiana does, part doesn't. Okay, I think I was there before it switched, and I'm pretty sure the part I was in still doesn't do it, I think. But I don't know. I remember when that big debate was going on, and like Mitch Daniels had just gotten in and stuff like that. I do remember that. Rubio is the essence of a corrupt, scummy, empty suit. I agree with you, Derek, but hey, this article tells us, you know what they say, a broken clock is right twice a day. So Rubio apparently got it on this one. I can't help but chuckle a little bit at the sunlight protection. They're calling it like as if this piece of paper protects the sun. Like we wouldn't have the sun otherwise. No, the sun's going to be there. The sun's going to do its thing no matter what. This is just how we measure time as human beings. Let's put it in perspective, Marco Rubio. But hey, Marco Rubio still sucks, but he got this one right because he's single-handedly going to protect the sun. He's scared to have He's scared to meet with his constituents. He's scared of them. He'll lie and say he's in Europe when he's not to avoid talking to people. The Here Comes the Sun Act. Derek suggests. Derek, I would like that much better, but you know what? Honestly, I don't feel like a Beatles song should have anything to do with American politics. I feel like it's just too wonderful of a thing. So hey, Marco Rubio, there you go. Good job, Marco. Doing your thing. All right, we got a lot of stuff. All right, so this is from Donald. This is from Donald. And I'll just give this a retweet. Sometimes when it's like a depressing article, I feel weird liking it. I mean, even though you guys get it because you're on the, like, some people, they're not on the stream. They don't know what it is. So they're like, why is he liking this super depressing thing? But anyway. All right, so this is from the New York Times. Donald sent this in, and I have 0 articles remaining this month, so I can't read it. So we're moving on. Let's see here. All right, Donald also sent this in, so we'll do this article from Donald instead. Tweet me an article, Marcus. In an upstate New York community wrecked by overdoses, prosecutor pursues users in homicide cases. All right. In August of 2017, 29-year-old Richard Goraki of Union, New York, trembled as a Johnson City Village court judge read charges that included selling heroin that led to the death of Nicholas McKernan, 26, that July. About 1 month later, Broome County District Attorney Steve Cornwell, assisted by his first ever overdose investigator, upgraded Goraki's charges to include second-degree manslaughter. For Goraki, the manslaughter charge meant that he faced 14 years in prison instead of 4. Whenever we can, we separate our dealers and users. That's the goal. But when someone is selling drugs to kill somebody, they can expect to be charged. We're going to find those people and target the investigation to get to the root of the crime. So does that... Man, okay. Yeah, that's kind of... All right. And so Donald gives a summary here. In upstate New York, a prosecutor is treating overdose deaths like crime scenes and pursuing manslaughter charges against dealers. That's... Yeah. That's corrupt. What do you guys think? My thing is that's not okay. And you know, let me clarify. I am all for ending the drug war. I am all for you know, legalizing most drugs, but I think heroin is the exception. I am all for keeping heroin illegal. I am all for trying, and I actually think if we ended the drug war, we would actually I think heroin use would go down. I do believe that, because I think people would just migrate to pot more, or drugs that are not as dangerous as heroin. So I am not, you know, when I say I'm for ending the drug war, I don't include, that doesn't include heroin. I think heroin. I mean, just in my totally for legalizing heroin. Not me. I mean, I think heroin is. I think that's the exception. It can be illegal but not criminalized. I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with that. I've just seen too many people OD on it. I mean, in my life, I mean, pretty much when I was in college, everybody that didn't make it, and when I said didn't make it, I mean like they died. They didn't make it the 4 years. They died. It was because of heroin. Buster says if heroin was legal and regulated, it wouldn't be so dangerous, Ron. I mean, it would still be heroin, though, right? I mean, I can get to don't criminalize it, but still make it illegal. I mean, it's so that way, like, if somebody is on it, we can actually help them instead of demonizing them. So creating a stigma increases its appeal to younger people. That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's one of those ones where it's like, I had friends that took heroin. Yeah, so did I. That's why I feel the way I do. I had friends that took it too. And for me, had is the key word. Had is important there. So but anyway, getting back to this article, you can't, I mean, I'm against, I am not for charging the dealers as a homicide. I'm definitely not for that. I don't think that is actually helping people that are addicted to drugs or people that have problems with heroin. That's not helping them. Of course it's not, because they're still dead. All this is an attempt to pull on people's emotions because they're going to just pad the pockets of the prison industry. This is what happens when you have a prison industrial complex. This is what happens when you have a for-profit prison industry. They do stuff like this, thinking that they're helping. They're like, we're going to cut down on drugs by demonizing the people without the power even more and keeping them in jail longer. And we're not really helping people that are addicted to drugs. We're just padding the pockets of the prison industrial complex. If somebody can go to jail for 14 years instead of 4, because we put them responsible for the homicide, then we're going to do it. So I'm completely against what they're doing in upstate New York. Heroin, that's a tough one because I think it is so dangerous. And I think it's, I think I'm at the point where I would say keep it illegal, but don't criminalize it. That would be what I say there, because I just think it's so dangerous that I don't think it should. I mean, I don't know anyone that made it out. I don't know anybody that messed with heroin that's still alive. And maybe that's just like my experience, but I don't know anyone that's messed with heroin that's still alive. Keeping it illegal keeps the kids rebelling using. That's that's a pretty elementary explanation for it. All drugs are dangerous. I disagree. Yeah, I don't think I don't think pot's all that dangerous. I mean, I really don't think pot's dangerous. I think it depends on what you mean by dangerous. Like, yeah, if you smoke up and you drive a car like a second after, and of course it depends on the person. I personally, I don't smoke if I'm gonna drive at night. That's my thing. But Daily Dope Show points out all prohibition is dangerous. I'm with you there. My brother died of an overdose, and I would be for legalizing heroin. If he had lived in Switzerland, he might still be alive. Heroin users do not live that long to further destroy things. Cokeheads do. Aren't all drugs but marijuana dangerous, not just heroin? I mean, capitalism is to blame and not drugs. I agree with you there. Yeah, I guess maybe. Well, let me say this. If we legalized it, quote unquote, if we quote unquote legalized heroin, it would likely become not as we know as heroin now. Right? As some of you guys are saying, it would be regulated differently. It would be funneled differently. So even though it would be, I guess, designated as heroin, it wouldn't be as we know. It wouldn't be heroin as we know it. So in that case, I'd be for something like that. So that would be something I'd be for. But, I guess. So I guess I'd be for legalization, assuming that includes modification, which I just made my point of view rhyme. Does that make sense? Like, you guys, like, I'd be for that if assuming the modification was there. Now, if making it legal just meant that people could just recreationally use heroin and have access to it as we know it, that I just would really be like, that's scary. But assuming the modification is there, then something like that, yes, I would be for that. So I guess maybe in a way, in a sense, I'm for it. In another sense, if you just mean it in the literal sense, I'm not for it. So I guess that's where I stand. Glad we worked through this. I'm for legalization, assuming that means modification. But getting back to this article, which we totally freaking deviated from for most of this segment, I'm not for charging the dealers like that. This isn't trying to help people that have drug problems. This is for padding the pockets of the prison industry. That's what this is for. And don't be fooled. Do not be fooled. So thank you for sharing that, Donald. That was an interesting case. Sorry we got a little bit side-wheeled. But JTB points out, too many friends have died, so I feel you. Yeah, I mean, it's totally one of those things. I mean, that's like, it's like, that's when it's like, whoa. I mean, I was dating somebody that wanted to get into heroin. I tried to talk her out of it, and I wasn't able to. I mean, it's a tough one. I mean, that's a tough one. But I understand how, quote unquote, legalizing it likely wouldn't mean, oh, everyone can just get heroin all willy-nilly now. It would likely mean there'd be modifications. It wouldn't be heroin as we know it now. And someone else suggested we could fund detox center. So from that perspective, that would be something I would favor. So yeah, I guess it just depends on how we define the terms. All right. So let's move on, guys, because we are almost out of time already. And let's go over to the Reddit to close out today. Oh, wait, here we go. This looks like a fun one. Teddy sends this in. Give it a Get Your News On with Ron retweet. I don't have any article from you, Marcus. I told you to send me one. Did you tweet me one? I don't have anything from you. I'm looking. Got nothing. But send me something and we'll talk about it. Dude, Washington Post cut me off too. I gotta clear my browser up. Yeah, I gotta clear my browser up. All right, so scratch that too. I'll just do a Google search on the French strike, and that's how we'll close. All right, so this is from The Guardian. Let me go ahead and tweet this out. Tens of thousands of public sector workers strike across France. Train drivers, teachers, nurses, and air traffic controllers take to the streets to protest against Macron's changes. Tens of thousands of train drivers, teachers, nurses, air traffic controllers, and other public sector staff went on strike across France on Thursday, staging street protests against Emmanuel Macron's plans for change. Wait a second. I thought Macron was the person of the people. I thought he was like Obama. I thought that he's got the working people on his side. You mean to tell me that maybe he enforces neoliberal policies and the people in France respond accordingly and don't just have blind allegiance to a politician or party? Kind of like what happened in the United States too, and why the working class didn't go for Hillary Clinton, because they realized she was offering them nothing, and the Democrats still don't get it? Interesting. Bad comparison. He is Obama. I think I just said that, but if you think it's a bad comparison, I can't win them all. Tens of thousands. All right, here we go. The 180 street demonstrations nationwide were mainly peaceful, but scuffles erupted between police and hooded young protesters on the margins of marches in Paris and the western city of Nantes. I'm sure I mispronounced that, where security forces fired tear gas and water cannons. Taking some lessons out of our playbooks here. The strike saw transport cancellation, some schools and churches closed, as well as limits on some services. France's centrist president, who has been in power for nearly a year, I like how they call a centrist a centrist over in other countries. I really do appreciate that, how they do that. How in the UK, they'll call a centrist a centrist. Let's see. Macron was an investment banker. The two different sets of grievances have the potential to cause a headache for the French government. So what exactly, let's see here. I want to see. Okay, so workers complain of unfair pay stagnation and increasingly difficult workplace conditions, and Macron has promised to cut the number of public workers by 120,000 over 5 years. France's large public sector, which has 5.4 million state workers, is angry about Macron's belt-tightening plans. Unions accuse him of seeking to dismantle the state sector. After his election promises of better recognition and remuneration for public sector staff, there's been fury among state workers that Macron has gone back on his word and, in fact, seeks to slash budgets, rely more on contract workers, introduce merit-based pay, and make voluntary redundancies. Again, that's neoliberalism favoring the markets. But everybody liked Macron, right? But here he goes, actively working against working people. And what do they do in France? They strike. They strike, and they strike hard. You want less of us? You want to get rid of us? Well, let's see how you do without us. And you know what's going on? Transportation's not happening there. Flights are getting canceled. A separate survey showed that 58% of French people thought Macron was implementing his manifesto program, but that 74% thought it was unfair. Good for France. Good for France. And this is an example again of neoliberalism in action. Marcus sends this: mass protests against Macron's economic policies. Protesters march across the country to protest against government plans to change the labor law and to scrap social benefits. Hundreds of thousands of public sector workers have marched across France to protest against government's economic policies, including plans to reform public services and slash jobs. 323,000 people took part in the nationwide protests. Macron also wants to trim retirement benefits. I don't think we covered that in the first article. Overhaul unemployment insurance and allow competitors to enter the French market. Yeah, you got to fight back. You got to fight back against this stuff. Jeremy says Macron, Obama, Clinton, and Trudeau all the same. So I guess we'll see how this unfolds. I hope that the people come out victorious, obviously, and that Macron has to scrap his awful ideas. That's what I want to see. And this is another example of the government working actively against the people. And when do you have that? When you instill neoliberalism. And it's just market-friendly conservatism. It's just, and it's market-friendly, and it's people-friendly in words only. That's what this is. This is not, you know, and I'm actually sick of. I appreciate the fact that in The Guardian they will at least say centrist, but honestly, I don't even think centrist is fair. I don't even think centrist is accurate. A centrist, quote unquote, would be like, okay, how do we kind of help our overall budget while still taking care of the workers? That would be a centrist approach. So what that wouldn't include private companies entering the fold. Centrism would not include that. Centrism also would not include cutting benefits. Centrism would not include that. Centrism would include, how do we maintain the benefits? So this is not centrist. How can we help make sure that our policy is healthy and that there's not waste? Can waste happen? Sure, it can. I get it. But that's not, yeah, this is not centrism. This is right wing. Marcus says this is right wing. Stephen Carl says centrist to me implies maintaining the status quo. Well, then this still isn't centrist. And I know what you mean. A lot of times when they say centrist, especially in the United States, that's exactly what they mean, maintaining the status quo. But this still isn't centrist, even by that definition, because the status quo, this strike wouldn't be going on, right? It wouldn't be going on. So this is right wing. This is Macron's right wing plan. We need to start calling things what they are. We need to start calling things conservative and right wing. Ron never reads my comments. I still love you, bro. Just read it, Austin. Bernie will be our next and best president, Austin also says. I'm a little envious of your optimism. I wish I could share it. Would you rather have waste on the people or waste on the military-industrial complex? I don't understand your question, because I don't think giving people decent benefits and jobs is a waste. I do think what we do with the military-industrial complex is a complete waste, though. I understand what you were saying. Yes, I agree with you, but that's not a waste. I'm just saying that if he was actually a centrist, that would be what he would be doing. But he's not doing that. He is just helping out markets and screwing people over. That's not centrist. That's not middle of the road. What I'm saying is, if he was a centrist, I still wouldn't agree with him. I'd still be on the other, but I'd be like, but it would at least be, that's a centrist. That's what a centrist is doing. He's not being a centrist. He's being a right winger. And it's time we call that what it is. Guys, we are totally out of time. Thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you so much for joining me for another week on Get Your News On with Ron. This has been a lot of fun. Somebody requested, Forever Voting Third Party requested the Revolution song to close. I will close with the Revolution song. Guys, this has been Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. I really want to expand this show. There's so much more we could talk about, but I need your help to do it. Patreon.com/Ron Placone. And by the way, you can give at whatever level you're comfortable with. I know that the way Patreon settings work, I have $5 as a suggested donation. So when you sign up, if you don't sign up at the $5 level, it says that you're not going to get any of the benefits. That's just because of the settings. That's not actually true. All of my posts are for all patrons. So no matter what level you give at, whether you give $1, whether you give more than that, you get everything. Everyone gets everything. It's a pay what you can level, and that's the only tier I have. So any level you're comfortable with, and that will help me get better equipment for the show. I want to get a better camera. I want to get some better audio equipment. The song clips. The song totally clips whenever I play it on the stream, and I need to get some better audio stuff to fix that. I really want to do that. Also, you get a ton of perks on my Patreon. You get a podcast every Sunday. You get another piece of content every Wednesday. When my album is done this year, which the label is editing it right now, you're going to get my album delivered to your inbox. And you also get discounts on t-shirts. We just got Howdy Holly t-shirts in. The first 50 patrons are going to get them delivered to their, they're going to get them delivered. And that's coming up. So guys, if you are able, patreon.com/Ron Placone. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone. That's where you tweet me articles, or check out our Reddit subsection, reddit.com/r/GetYourNewsOnWithRon, ronplacone.com. I'm announcing more and more tour dates by the day. And speaking of tour dates, this weekend, I'm going to be in Austin, Texas. If anyone's coming out to the live Jimmy Dore show, I will be at the State Theater with the Jimmy Dore show March 25th. That's this coming Sunday. I will also be at Cap City Comedy Club with Jimmy Dore on March 26th. That is a Monday. Any Austin friends, I hope to see you there. Come up and say hello. Guys, thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you so much for tuning in to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. I'll send you off with a song, like I promised. Doing the same thing, expecting differences is what it means to be insane. Having to choose between more and more is not what it means to play the game. Why does it put your mind at ease to ignore this big disease? Why do you like to sit and pretend when we always know the end? Go tell the BBC, go tell the CIA, it's time for revolution. Go tell the DSA, GPNSA, it's time for revolution. Throwing you a single wrong, it's not what it means to compromise. Some call it straight through rhetoric, I just call it telling lies. Cause when you reach up one aggressive, the status quo, it needs to change. And if you can't understand that truth, well, it's time to get out of the way. We'll tell the BBC, go tell the CIA, it's time for revolution. Go tell the DSA, GPNSA, it's time for revolution. This fool knows that to be true. 'Cause I'm not ready to give up yet. Long as there's still a me and you. So I'll tell the BBC, I'll tell the CIA. Waste time for revolution. I'll tell the GSA, GP and SA. Waste time for revolution. So get your news on with Ron. If you wanna know what's going on, we're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. If you wanna know what's going on, let's hope they don't start World War III. You can tweet me an article at Placone. Go through it together and make it on. Get your news on with Ron. If you wanna know what's going on, we're getting our news on today. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. This has been Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. I do this every Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we'll be back on Tuesday. See you then. I love you all very much. 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have a great weekend. Hope to see you in Austin. Peace.